Hey, good afternoon. Kyle Johnson here with DeKalb and Asgrow Technical Agronomist with Bayer. And joining me today here on a video is
Mike Binsfeld, Technical Agronomist with Gold Country Seed.
So today, both Mike and I have both been getting a lot of calls here this last week talking about some, I guess you would say, symptomologies that we're seeing both in the corn and soybean fields. And you think about just first off, the weather. We've had full sun all week long, little bit of rain, but mostly dry conditions. So some of the symptomologies that we're seeing is definitely weather related. Some of that could be just, the corn is starting to onion leaf a little bit, and then some of those soybeans that we're seeing a bit of drop is we're actually seeing the leaves just kind of fold over, kind of losing that turgor pressure in those nodes. But some of the other symptomologies that we're seeing is both related to some chemistry and some other maybe surfactants or adjuvants that we're seeing as well. So one of the things that I just first off have been called out on is everybody thinks that the first symptomology is it must be dicamba damage, and that is not true. Dicamba damage can look a lot alike many other different modes of action. One of the things that I like to have out here with me all the time is a mode of action cheat sheet list. So always have one of these on there. So the symptomologies on this list, or the active ingredients, will always be the same as within that group. So first off, dicamba. So just kind of talking about what some of that symptomology will be, you're going to be looking for that cupping of those trifoliates. Usually some of that newer leaf will be cupped. And if you can almost flip them over, the pubescence will be white. So it's usually a really tell sign when you see that definitive cupping with the white really showing up on the pubescence. The one that's commonly mistaken for it is the group 15s, which can be your cetachlors, metallochlors, or your harnesses and duals. So what you'll see there is early symptomologies will resemble extend because it has a little bit of that puckering or a little bit of that crinkling, blistering on the leaves, but it really gets more of that drawstring look and that heart shape on the leaves. So that's one thing that we can kind of looks very similar to dicamba, but want to make sure we differentiate. But there are some other chemistries, and Mike's going to walk us through that.
Yeah, so today we're up in Benson, Minnesota at the Bayer Research Site. So we've been able to pull most of our soybean plants from right here. We've also received a handful of phone calls, as Kyle said, more than you can shake a stick at, and we grabbed some samples from those fields today as well. So the non-chemistry things, I think when I'm looking at one of the alternative platforms, people are pointing fingers and saying, well, this chemistry is really burning my beans up, it's banging them up. If it's an actual 2,4-D, it's going to be similar to dicamba. It's going to get a little cup, more of a stretching, strapping of that leaf. But when you look at the fields that we've been called to, you look at these, you look at the symptomology here. This is not it's not a growth regulator. It's not a dicamba. It's not a 2,4-D. This is surfactant burn from the package that the chemistry is delivered in, right? We know we need surfactants to get these herbicides into the plant and get them rolling. So you got large blotches and burning. That's not a dicamba, again, that's not a 2,4-D. When we were able to walk a cornfield that was bordering the soybean field, that first row and a half, same symptomology on the corn leaf, right? You got this translucent look to it. You can almost see your fingers right behind it. So we've been we've got a clear window there to look through. Again, surfactant. Usually we're looking at an oil base. Sometimes, to Kyle's point, a group 15 herbicide is in its own right can do some of this. Again, the Warrens, Duals, etc. of the worlds. One other thing, not to confuse. This time of year we see a lot of diphenyl ethers being used. Some of these burners, people are either chasing late water hemp. Some people use cobra for white mold help there. The difference when you're looking at a leaf that's burnt from a surfactant with a high volume carrier and you need very large droplet sizes, there can be large burnt areas, fewer droplets compared to a foamosaphin. Here we got foamosaphin, 10 gallons of water is carrier. They're fogging this in. They're trying to fog that weed down and get that thing soaked. So there's lots and lots and lots of speckling on this leaf. So that's one thing to differentiate safener with a large water droplet size versus just a foamosaphin with a very small droplet size.
The other thing to add there is that that group 14 will have a little bit of a shine to it after it's sat there for a few days. So another thing that you can really tell, it's kind of that group 14 mode of action there.
One other thing to think about, if you're getting phone calls from your neighbor or you're concerned about your own fields, what's going on, how come, why, go to the University of Purdue or Purdue University website. Look at causes or symptoms of cup beans or soybean injury. It's a great reference guide. I usually reference that. You know, this time of year, every year, just to freshen up myself, make myself familiar with what all makes soybeans leaf cup. It can be chemistry, as Kyle and I have talked about. It certainly can be chemistry, but it also can be surfactants. It can be ammonium sulfate as a water conditioner. Just extreme temperatures, going from cold to warm, warm to cold, messing with the hormones in that plant. So, you know, when in doubt, you know, look at the Purdue University website. Then the other thing you can always do, obviously, please give your FSR a phone call. Your FSR from the Basgirl Gold Country channel, and they can come out and take a look at the field. And if it gets pretty hairy, you might get a visit from us. Either Kyle and myself can come out and take a look at some stuff.
So, well, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you, and have a great weekend.